Hello, I'm Robbie Clark. Welcome to my workshop. This week it's going to be a bit of a hodgepodge of items. I've not been in the workshop very often over the last week or so. Been out of action for a couple of days, but I did a video a little while back where I showed making some T-nuts for the box angle plate that was given to me. Box itself I'd made to store it in, and it was pointed out to me you're going to have a bit of a problem getting the box plate in and out of the box. These are the T-nuts I made. I made 4 of them, and I cold blued them as well to protect them against rust. They can be stored in the box as well. So it was suggested that I perhaps make a handle out of a piece of aluminium flat bar and sort of bend it into shape. But I didn't really have any sort of suitable aluminium in my stock of bits and pieces. So I looked around for something else to make one out of, and this is what I came up with. This handle. Obviously, it's a handle designed for use on furniture. It's I'm sure not solid brass, it's probably just brass plated, but I mounted this onto an electric scrap of aluminium I found, and a couple of blocks here as spacers, so that will slide nicely into place. So now I have a means of lifting this in and out of the box. I mean, I was told that this is probably a bit over the top, actually, but I thought it was quite a good solution. There's a bit of fun as well. And if you understand the term, it's a sort of a steampunk effective handle as well. The handle is one of a whole collection of handles that we bought from our local DIY store. They were having a clear out of all sorts of things around the store, sort of end of line items, and I guess at some point they end up with sort of one handle left. So there's three or 4 others here, all completely different. So they couldn't really be sort of used on a piece of furniture unless you wanted it to look very, very strange indeed. But the reason for buying these is the attraction was that all of them were 10 pence each. We just couldn't resist buying them. Really, I thought, well, perhaps one day they'll come into use for something or other. Perhaps where something only needs a handle on it. And I did actually think it might be an idea to use this on another item I'll show you in a minute to carry that around as well. But there we are. They'll probably just go back in the drawer again. But there we are. I thought that was quite a reasonable solution to the problem. Gives me a means of handling that very, very easily. Then now, talking of boxes, recently I showed a height gauge that I bought. It was an old one. It's an APE height gauge, which can also be used as a scriber as well, and it didn't come in a box. So I think when they're or were supplied new, they would have come in a carrying box as well to protect them. So I've made a box for it. It's literally just made out of odd scraps of wood that I had in my workshop. I tend not to throw things away that have wood that might be of some use in the future. Most of this was the wood off little tables on an old computer stand that we broke up and didn't need any more. All the metal parts So some of them I kept, but most of it was disposed of, and I kept the 2 tables because I thought the wood there would be of some use, and it has been. I've used one of these sort of heavy duty spring catches on it, so I've now got something nice to store the height gauge in. The areas inside the box where it makes contact with the height gauge I've covered in self-adhesive felt, just to protect the metal on the gauge from getting scratched. And these obviously will support it and stop it from sort of rattling around inside. But quite sort of pleased with the outcome of that. I think that's going to be a good way of protecting it. And indeed, there's no reason why I couldn't mount one of these handles on the top of that. I guess that to carry it around, move it around the workshop. That's sort of another possibility. Another thing I wanted to mention also is that a little while back, one of my viewer subscribers sent me a nice gift. It's a Mitutoyo micrometer, but it's a micrometer called an anvil micrometer. I believe in Germany they call these a unimic, because you can change the anvil end. So with a flat anvil here, it can be used for sort of measuring sort of quite normal material, flat material, or small round items. But the anvil can be removed. There's a clamp on the end here. If you release that lock, you can take the little anvil end out. This is obviously a ground piece of tool steel. And I think when they're supplied new, they come with a round anvil as well. This didn't have one with it, so I've made an anvil here out of the silver steel or drill rod. There's a little groove in the clamp at the end here, so you can put a piece of round material in. I did look this up on the Mitutoyo website to find out the diameter of the rod that normally is supplied, so I could make one in approximately the same size. And this can be put in the end here and then locked in. And the object of this one is to measure the wall thickness of round tubing. So that can be inserted into the hole in a tube, and then you can measure the wall thickness here. It's an imperial micrometer, measuring 0 to 1 inch. This one doesn't have the normal ratchet on the end, but this part here, free wheel, so that forms the ratchet mechanism. Very, very clever indeed. But I know that these new were colossally expensive items, so I'm very lucky to have this. It's fantastically accurate, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of uses for this in my workshop. The very kind viewer that bought this for me obviously bought it on eBay, but had it sent directly to me, and he did say that he noticed that the box was in terribly dirty condition. Obviously, it'd been used in an engineering workshop, obviously a professional workshop, because it has all the stock numbers engraved on the bottom here from a workshop's inventory. But I clean this up basically using the sort of strong washing up detergent, and took all the foam out of the box, and then gave it a real good scrub with a scouring pad, and it's come up sort of quite nice and clean. I've even managed to preserve the original label on there as well. But That is a beautiful item. I do like Mitutoyo items. I have uh, Mitutoyo digital caliper. This was um, bought as a charity shop sale, but it was still reasonably expensive. I know these are very, very expensive items to buy new, but it's incredibly accurate. It measures in uh, inches and millimeters, and in the imperial range, it measures to 4 digital places. But it compared to the Chinese ones I've got a couple of those. This one is so smooth in operation. It's really a beautiful thing to use. Phenomenally accurate as well. So it's one that I do use sort of most of the time, really. But it's a really beautiful thing. So I love using that. And I do also have something I bought actually a long time ago was the Mitutoyo dial uh, uh, caliper as well. I mean, I don't use that as much, but if anything, that's um, made to sort of higher standards than this. Really, on the back of that one, it's got a sort of a rack and pinion running through the back here uh, to adjust it. I should have brought that out to show you as well, but I'm sure you've seen them before anyway. But having these two items now, I mean, I've got a lot of micrometers already. When I got interested in amateur engineering and set my workshop up, I tried to sort of get a little collection of micrometers around me, both imperial and metric. But it was a real hodgepodge of items. They're all different brands. I tried to go for everything was second hand. I must point that out. They're all second hand items, and they all had to be bought at a budget as well. So I've got, in fact, in imperial micrometers ranging from 0 up to 4 inches. The 3 to 4 inches, I guess, not one that's going to get used very often, but it was very, very inexpensive, and but works perfectly well. I've got 3 metric micrometers as well. I do actually have a Chinese digital micrometer that measures from 0 to 1 inch, which it is very accurate. I do use that quite a lot because it's very simple and quick to use. There's not a lot of brain work required in working measurements out. And last Christmas, I was bought a 1 to 2 inch digital micrometer as well. A very, very nice one though, and it's so that I've got those two that I can use. I guess more or less for speed of operation more than anything else. But I do love using manual micrometers because it's good brain work to use them. You've got to really think about what you're doing and to work out the measurements. But having this Mitutoyo micrometer, and it's such a beautiful thing, I thought, well, I'll have a look around and see what's actually available on eBay. And I found this one. Again, this is Mitutoyo 1 to 2 inch. This, like that one, actually was in worse condition when I got it. The box was very, very dirty indeed. It had some the owner's name on here. Obviously, this was used by a professional workshop, I guess. And this was terrible because the foam that was inside the box had completely broken down and gone to a sort of a gel state, and it got stuck to everything on here. So I had to give this a really good clean. and it got stuck into the knurling on the adjustment thimble here, but I managed to clean that out using a very, very soft brass brush and managed to get all of that out. It has a ratchet mechanism which works perfectly, and it's perfectly accurate. I've tested. I have got some micrometer standards, and I've also got a slip gauges, so I was able to sort of test this very, very accurately. But once it was cleaned up, it sort of appears in really nice condition. Really, all the enamel on here is very nice, and the thimble all cleaned up beautifully. The ends of the anvils here are perfect. So very, very pleased with that. And I had another, after I'd got this, I'd had another look on eBay, and the seller of this one put another one up. It wasn't available at the time I bought this one, but he put up a 2 to 3 inch. Again, it came in exactly the same condition as that one, filthy dirty, box filthy dirty as well. But on cleaning this one up, it came up as nicely as that. Again, perfectly accurate. I've tested this out with standards and with slip gauges. Absolutely fantastic. So I've got from 1 inch to 3 inch now in those. Obviously, I've got 0 to 1 inch with the anvil one, but I thought, well, I wonder whether I could find a 0 to 1 inch of this style. I wasn't too worried because I have got the Moore and Wright 0 to 1 inch micrometer, which it's a beautiful thing. I mean, I love using it. Again, it's something that I bought second hand when I set the workshop up. But I thought it would be quite nice to have a family of Mitutoyo micrometers, and luckily enough, I found this one. Not from the same seller as these two, but the same style of micrometer. This one, again, came with a dirty case. But again, it seems that the foam rubber that are in these boxes just sort of breaks down, I suppose, over a number of years. That's the conditions that they're stored in. So again, I cleaned this one up. Sadly, the part here, the paintwork is all sort of chipped off here, but that doesn't really sort of worry me too much. Again, perfectly accurate. The nice thing about this one also is that it has the vernier scale on it as well, so it will measure down to tenths as well, which is going to be sort of very, very handy. And I guess this is one that will probably get a great deal of use. But buying these, I'm not going to say I went particularly mad and spent huge amounts of money, and it just to emphasise that if you really look around, take your time, with luck you can find really nice second-hand tools at very, very reasonable prices. I hope these were reasonable prices. These two, both without postage, both of these were just under £10 each. One was £9.98 and one was £9.99 plus carriage, which you can't avoid. This one was even less. It was one that was being offered on auction but open to offers, and I made a cheeky offer on this one, and this one cost me £8 plus postage. So the postage on this one was less than these. So what I've got here now is a lovely set of Mitutoyo micrometers for about a fraction under £30 for the whole lot. So I was absolutely delighted to have all of those. I must have a bit of an addiction anyway to micrometers, because when I set my workshop up, I decided, well, immediately, I bought a very, very inexpensive digital caliper, the sort of usual inexpensive Chinese one, and I did buy from China 0 to 1 micrometer, which was, when I bought it, was very, very inexpensive. When I still got it, it works perfectly actually. But then I sort of looked around to try and buy myself a sort of a nice set of micrometers. They are all odd though. They're not all the same brand. There's a couple of Moore and Wrights and a lot of real hodgepodge of different ones. Um, but overall, I haven't spent very much money on any of them. They were all had to be bought at sort of a budget price, basically. So I've actually got quite a lot of micrometers now, but I think they're just lovely anyway. I mean, I really enjoy using them, because you've got to sort of really think when you're using these, the sort of calculation. But these are so beautiful to use. They're so smooth in operation. You can operate them beautifully. I mean, you don't even need to use the ratchet. It's a thing which I think is really operated by feel, particularly using these in combination with telescopic gauges as well. You've got to use a very, very fine adjustment to feel the measurement. And I do practice with these as well. It is great fun to practice using these. Anyway, I hope you found all of that interesting. Slightly different to other videos I've done, I guess, but I've got something planned which I hope to be able to get into the workshop during the following week. I've got a project planned which, if it all works out okay, I'll perhaps bring you that the next weekend. Anyway, thank you for joining me in the workshop today, and thank you also to the subscribers to my channel. I'm gaining some sort of numbers now, which is really nice, and all the lovely comments, nice sort of feedback from subscribers to the channel and other viewers to the channel, and being able to make contact through the comments and talk to other YouTubers as well. It's very, very nice to be able to do that. Well, anyway, thanks very much again, and see you very soon. Bye bye for now.